Giannis Antetokounmpo stands at center court. Arena lights flood the floor. Tens of thousands chant his name. MVP, champion, global icon. But the version of Giannis the world knows is not the version that was forged first. Before the contracts, before the accolades, before the cameras, there was a boy who didn't know if his family would still be allowed to stay in the country tomorrow. And that story, almost nobody saw. They see the trophies, the MVP chants, the championship parade. But before the world knew Giannis Antetokounmpo, he was a kid selling sunglasses on the streets of Athens, not because he wanted to, but because his family needed to eat. He didn't grow up dreaming about the NBA. He grew up afraid of being deported. No citizenship, no safety, no guarantees. Basketball wasn't the plan. Survival was. This isn't the story of how Giannis became a champion. This is the story of how he became unbreakable. Long before the lights, long before the fame, when nobody was watching. Giannis was born in Athens to Nigerian immigrants. His parents came chasing a better life. What they found instead was uncertainty, no citizenship, no protection, no real rights. The family lived quietly, careful, invisible. Fear wasn't dramatic. It was routine. A knock on the door could change everything. For Giannis, childhood wasn't about dreams. It was about staying unnoticed. His father, Charles, worked construction when he could find it. His mother, Veronica, cleaned houses, cared for elderly strangers, took whatever work existed. But work was never guaranteed, and neither was tomorrow. The Antetokounmpo family existed in the margins, technically present but legally invisible. Giannis and his brothers, Thanasis, Costas, Alex, learned early what it meant to be other, to move through a city that didn't claim them, to belong nowhere officially. School was complicated. Questions about documents, about status, about why their last name didn't sound Greek. So they stayed quiet, blended in, became excellent at being overlooked. This wasn't tragedy in the cinematic sense. It was the slow, grinding weight of uncertainty, the kind that doesn't break you in a moment, but shapes you over years. While other kids played after school, Giannis and his brothers worked, selling watches, sunglasses, toys, anything they could carry through the streets of Sepolia. Some days they earned enough. Some days they didn't. Basketball was never the priority, food was. There were days when Giannis ran through Athens, not for conditioning, but because he and Thanasis were sharing one pair of sneakers. They'd take turns. One would play, the other would wait. Then they'd switch. He didn't imagine arenas. He imagined stability. This is what makes his story different. Most athletes chase greatness. Giannis was chasing tomorrow. The streets taught him resilience, but not the kind people romanticize. It was the resilience of repetition, of waking up and doing it again, of swallowing disappointment and still showing up. His parents never complained. They worked, they endured, they modeled something Giannis wouldn't have words for until much later. Dignity without recognition. There were no trophies for this, no crowds, no cameras, just a family surviving in the gaps of a system that didn't see them. And in those gaps, something was forming, something unbreakable. One day, basketball entered his life quietly, not as a dream, not as destiny, just an outlet. A local coach named Spiros Valiniatis saw Giannis and Thanasis playing in a park. They were tall, lanky, uncoordinated, but there was something else. Hunger, not just physical, existential. Spiros invited them to join Philathletikos, a youth team in Athens. Giannis was awkward, skinny, raw. He didn't know the rules, didn't understand rotations, couldn't shoot consistently, but he ran every possession, every drill, every scrimmage. Coaches didn't see a star, they saw potential. Giannis didn't see a future, he saw another responsibility. Because basketball meant time, and time meant less time working, and less time working meant less money for his family. Every practice was a negotiation between hope and guilt. But something was changing. For the first time in his life, Giannis was good at something visible, something people noticed. Not in the street selling sunglasses, not in the shadows staying quiet. On the court, he could be seen, and slowly, very slowly, he started to believe that maybe, just maybe, basketball could be more than an outlet. Maybe it could be a way out. When the NBA came calling, it wasn't celebration. It was fear. Scouts had started showing up to Philadelphia games, whispers of upside and potential and lottery pick. Giannis was 18, still stateless, still undocumented, still terrified of deportation. The Milwaukee Bucks selected him 15th overall in the 2013 NBA draft, and suddenly everything was moving too fast. Leaving meant leaving family, leaving familiarity, leaving survival mode. He didn't know the language. He didn't know the culture. He didn't know if his parents would be okay without him. But he knew one thing. If this worked, everything could change. And if it didn't, there was no safety net. The flight to America was the longest of his life, not in hours, in wait. He arrived in Milwaukee with one suitcase, a few clothes, no understanding of what was ahead. His teammates were kind, but he felt alien. The food was different. The pace was different. The expectations were different. He called home constantly, sent money back, worried endlessly, because in Greece his family still lived in uncertainty, still undocumented, still vulnerable. Giannis wasn't just playing for a contract. He was playing for citizenship, for stability, for the chance that his parents might finally stop looking over their shoulders. Every game mattered, every practice mattered, every moment mattered. Because failure didn't just mean losing basketball, it meant losing everything. The body caught up, the skills evolved, the confidence followed. Giannis went from awkward project to most improved player, from raw talent to MVP, from overlooked to inevitable. But something stayed the same: the humility, the gratitude, the work ethic. Because when you grow up with nothing, you never forget how easily it can disappear. In 2021, Giannis led the Milwaukee Bucks to an NBA championship. 50 points in Game 6 of the Finals. One of the greatest performances in basketball history. After the game, he didn't boast. He didn't showboat. He cried, not tears of triumph, tears of release. Because the boy who sold sunglasses on the streets of Athens, the boy who shared sneakers with his brother, the boy who feared deportation, had finally, undeniably, made it. But even then, he understood something most people don't. Greatness didn't make Giannis. Struggle did. The invisibility forged him. The uncertainty sharpened him. The survival mode prepared him for a level of pressure most athletes crumble under. When the moment mattered most, Giannis didn't flinch, because he'd already lived through worse. And the world finally saw what had been forming all along, in silence, in shadows, in the margins. Giannis Antetokounmpo isn't special because he made it. He's special because he endured when nobody believed, when nobody watched, when dreaming wasn't an option. Today, his parents have Greek citizenship. His family has stability. His brothers play professional basketball. The fear's gone, the uncertainty is gone, but the memory remains. And because of that memory, Giannis moves differently, speaks differently, leads differently. He doesn't take anything for granted. He doesn't forget where he came from. He doesn't pretend the struggle didn't matter, because it did. It mattered more than the trophies, more than the accolades, more than the fame. The struggle made him unbreakable. And his story is proof of something we all need to remember. Your beginnings do not disqualify you. They prepare you. If you're struggling quietly right now, if you're unseen, unheard, grinding in the margins, this story is for you. Because before Giannis became a champion, he became unbreakable. And you can too. I didn't come from nothing. I came from something. I came from love. I came from struggle. I came from parents who sacrificed everything, and that made me who I am. Giannis Antetokounmpo.